Okay guys, I am making pork chops in the crock pot today. So in the crock pot, I am putting 1 can of cream of chicken soup. I'm putting in 1 envelope of pork gravy. I am putting in 1 envelope of Lipton onion soup mix. And I'm gonna put in 1 cup of liquid gold. If you don't have liquid gold is what was left at the bottom of a crock pot when I cooked an entire turkey breast, and I cooked it with paprika and garlic and salt and pepper and thyme, and it was just delicious liquid left at the bottom of the crock pot. So I strained it and froze it. So I'm going to use a cup of that. If you don't have any of your own broth or anything, you need 1 cup of chicken broth, 1 cup of liquid gold, or 1 cup of chicken broth. It smells so good, that liquid gold. And now I am just going to take my silicone whisk. I never use metal utensils in my crock pot. I feel like I'm going to scratch the surface if I do that. But anyway, so I'm going to whisk this all together with my silicone spatula just to make sure it's somewhat incorporated. I want the onion soup mix and the gravy to get mixed in. Okay, that's good enough. It doesn't have to be perfect. I just don't want clumps of powder in there from the envelopes. Okay, I'm not putting salt in here because the gravy, the onion soup mix, and the cream of chicken soup already have a lot of sodium. So I'm not going to put any salt in here, no salt on the pork chops. What I am going to do is put some black pepper, some garlic powder. I have about 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch bone-in pork chops. Okay, so I'm just going to put these right in here, just like this. So I'm only doing 4 pork chops, but this recipe you could easily do 6, or you could do boneless pork chops also. I'm going to cover this, plug it in, and I'm going to put this on low for 6 hours. And that's it. This is going to cook on low for 6 hours. And I'm going to serve the pork chops with 2 sides. Sweet potatoes. These are leftover sweet potatoes from mushroom garlic chicken night. But these are not going to go to waste because I'm going to put them in this saucepan and I'm going to reheat them with a little bit of milk to make them nice and smooth and creamy again. And even though some of that mushroom sauce from the chicken is getting in there, that's okay because that's just extra flavor. So I scooped all the potatoes into a little saucepan, and now I'm pouring a little bit of fat-free milk, and I'm going to put this on low and let the milk heat at the bottom, and then I'm going to start stirring. And voila, 10 minutes later, you have smooth, silky, creamy sweet potatoes, brand new, but I didn't have to cook them because they were left over from another meal. And then the second side that I'm serving with the pork chops and the sweet potatoes is going to be just fresh, crispy, boiled string beans. Nothing better than a nice, fresh green veggie to have on the side. And there's so much flavor in the pork chops. And the sweet potatoes that a plain green bean is just fine. The pork chops are coming along super nicely. I have 36 minutes left on the pork chops. So while these finish up, I'm gonna finish putting together the sides. I'm gonna set the table. And we're going to serve that with some applesauce and some soft dinner rolls. So I'm going to start getting everything together. This will be done soon. Okay, so there's 30 minutes left on this. So I took the cover off because what I want to do is skim off some of this fat, because I am going to take a little bit of cornstarch and water, and I'm going to put it in here in a little bit, so that the sauce can thicken up, but I want to get rid of some of that grease off the top. And I'm using a ladle because it's easier to get in here to get some of that grease off. If you're using boneless pork chops and you trim the fat off the edges, then you probably won't even have to do this. But these bone-in pork chops do have a little bit more fat than the boneless. Okay, so I have a little bit of slurry here, which is just cornstarch and water. And I just poured that right in there. And again, I don't like to use metal utensils in my crock pot, so I'm just gonna use the wooden handle of my basting brush just to move this around a little bit to get the slurry mixed in with the gravy. And then this is gonna thicken up the last 30 minutes. These pork chops are so tender. Look, the bone is falling off. That's how tender these pork chops are. All right, so I'm gonna cover that back up. And I'm just gonna let that finish the last 27 minutes. Okay guys, and there you have it. Delicious crock pot pork chops that are so tender, you don't even need a knife to eat these pork chops. The sweet potatoes that I salvaged and made brand new and delicious from another dinner. Some crispy green beans that I just boiled. And we have some sweet applesauce and soft dinner rolls so that you can dip it in that delicious gravy that's on that plate. And this dinner came together in no time because the pork chops cooked themselves in the crock pot. It took 5 minutes to put it in the crock pot, 5 minutes to skim off the grease and pour the slurry in, and that's it. The crock pot did all the work. The beans just boiled, and the sweet potatoes, I just warmed them up. If you have extra, buttered noodles in the fridge, or if you have some rice in the fridge, just use what you have. And voila, you have a yummy homemade dinner that took no time to make. And we enjoyed a delicious home-cooked meal. The house smells so warm and cozy. And the only bad part about tonight is that there's not one bit of leftovers left. Nothing. The only thing that's left over is some gravy at the bottom of the crock pot. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to strain that gravy because there might be a little piece of bone from the pork chops, but I'm going to save that gravy because that is going to be delicious over some mashed potatoes another night. Thanks for watching. I hope you try it. I hope you got a great idea, and bon appetit.